All right, my friends, the time has come. We are going to subtract linear expressions. So cool. Now, there's nothing hard about this. You're literally adding and subtracting numbers. But there are a couple things you need to be aware of that you don't get tripped up with. If you need it, this is chapter 5, lesson 7, if you're looking in the book. There's two methods that I'm going to show you. Both methods work for every problem that I will show you today. Some problems are going to be better done with subtraction, and some problems are going to be better done with the distribute and add method, particularly if you see a lot of negative signs floating around in the problem. That's probably when you're going to want to do the distribution. Let's jump right into this. All right, I'm going to do the first problem with both methods. This is one that will work easily, cleanly, no matter what you try to do with this. Okay, so let's start with this. Let's do the plain subtraction. Just like yesterday when we added linear expressions, I'm going to write these stacked with one slight difference. On the second one, I'm going to keep the parentheses because today I am going to put the subtraction sign here. If you remember yesterday, I said I usually don't put the addition sign. I am going to put the subtraction sign, and I put the parentheses to show that I'm subtracting the entire thing. I don't want it to be confused, thinking that this is just the only term that the subtraction or the negative sign goes with. You really have to subtract both. Okay, now keeping that in mind, what is 3 minus 2? Yes, I know, I just gave you a 3 minus 2 problem. It really is that easy. 3 minus 2 is 1. It happens to be a positive 1, so I'll put that plus in front of it to show that it's positive, but also to act as a linker between the other term. Okay, what is 6x minus 2x? Yes, 6 minus 2, it really is that easy, is 4x. It's positive. You could put a plus on if you wanted. So the answer that we're looking for this problem is 4x plus 1. I think you can see why this is better suited for things that have no negatives. If we started doing like 3 minus a negative, my head hurts just saying it. Now, let me show you what I mean when I say that we're going to distribute and add. So I'm going to rewrite this again super fast. All right. I want to distribute this subtraction sign to everything that comes after it. I sort of did it over here informally, but now we're going to make it be formal. And again, I'm going to stack. So I get 6x plus 3. That part doesn't change. I will not write the parentheses and I will not write the subtraction sign because I'm going to do it like we did yesterday with the adding. Okay, this is going to turn into a negative 2x minus 2. When I give out that negative sign here, it turns a positive to a negative. And when I give out that negative sign here, again, turns a positive to a negative. So I get minus 2x minus 2. When I did it the first time, I kept the parentheses because I needed to show that it was going to everything inside. I'm not keeping the parentheses here for the one in red because I've already given it out to everything. And like I told you for addition, often I won't write a sign. I'm not, because I'm going to add these. Now, this is one I probably would not distribute because now I have to deal with negatives. What is 3 plus negative 2? I know you're screaming at me because I just made this harder, but I want to show you the difference. So if we think back to our black and red chips, they're different. So I subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. The 3 pile was bigger. It was positive, so I'll put my plus. Let's go to our other terms. We've got 6 plus negative 2. They're different. I'll subtract. 6 minus 2 is 4. The 6 pile was bigger, so we keep. You get the same answer, but oh boy, did that hurt my head. So being able to tell when to use which method is really an important skill. For this one, because I saw lots of positives up here, I would simply subtract. The same way you've been subtracting since you were a little kid. When we have things that have more negatives, then I would distribute the subtraction sign. All right, let's go to another example. We've got 2x minus 3 minus x minus 2. Again, you could do it both ways. I think because there's a subtraction sign here, or a negative sign, I'm going to do the distribution. Could I do it the other way? Absolutely. Do I feel like doing minus a negative? Not really. I'll show you, but okay. So if I do this with the distribution, it turns into a negative x. And now I'm going to do the opposite, or the negative, of a negative 2. What's the opposite of negative 2? A positive. It switches the sign of whatever's inside here. Okay, so we get 2x. Let me do this over here so it's not confused. 2x minus 3, and then I get a negative x and a plus 2. I'm going to combine these. I'm going to add them, really. So here I've got a negative 3 and a positive 2. They're different, so I subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. The 3 pile was bigger, so we'll keep that sign. Good? Okay. Here I've got a 2 and a negative 1. They're different, so I subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. I could write that, or I could just put x. It doesn't matter. The 2 pile is bigger, so we'll keep it positive. Final answer, x minus 1. I know, you're screaming at me right now because that was crazy. Let's see what it looks like if I did subtraction before I do this distribution. 2x minus 3 minus, keep the parentheses, going back to the original, and there we go. This is where you might want to do some mini problems over on the side. So here, this is negative 3 minus negative 2. I know, it's ugly. Actually, it's beautiful. I love it. I don't like subtraction, especially with integers. So let's change it. I can do my 2-stroke. And now it's turned into the same thing I had over here. So you're really doing it. It's just how you choose to write it. All right, we'd have some black and some red. So I subtract, I get 1. This pile was bigger, so we keep it. Now, if you go back and look at this, you see a negative 3 and a negative 2, and you're like, how in the world did she get a negative 1? Because we subtracted. Okay, this is where the notation gets really, really crazy. All right, now let's do some subtraction here. This is 2 minus 1. What's 2 minus 1? That's right, it's 1x. If you choose to leave the 1, that's fine. Again, you could switch it to be just x minus 1. The negatives are what are going to trip you up. I promise. It happens every year. I still have difficulty with it every now and then if I'm not paying attention. All right? All right, let's go on to number 3. This one's a little bit easier because we only have a monomial here. We only have one term. So if I was going to give this out, I really only have to give it to one thing. All right, let's see. So I have negative 2x minus 4. I'm going to distribute it minus 2x. There's no constant here. You could put a 0, or you could just leave it blank. It doesn't matter. So now a negative 4 and a 0 give me negative 4. A negative 2 and another negative 2, that would be a pile of red and a pile of red. They're the same, so I'm going to add them. I know, we're going to add them. 2 and 2 is 4. They were both negative, so I keep that sign. There's my final answer. Negative 4x minus 4. Crazy. I don't think I'm going to do the subtraction one, right? This was the distributive one that I just did here. I don't think I'm going to do the subtraction one for this because look at all those negative signs. Ew, ew, ew. Okay. 2 more. These start to get brutal. So I want you to look at this problem. We've got 6x plus 5 minus 3x plus 1. And before I write anything, I want you to decide right now, which method do you think would be easiest? Do you think the subtraction would be easiest? Or do you think the distributing the sign would be the easiest? Think about the types of problems that each one is better for. Do you see lots of negatives in here? No. I actually think the subtraction one is going to be easier than the distributing the negative. That's my choice. If you like the other method, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, so for the subtraction, I have to stack them. 6x plus 5 minus everything in parentheses because I have not given out that sign yet. And now I've created two subtraction problems, two little mini problems. So what is 5 minus 1? Yes, I really do mean it to be that easy. What is 5 minus 1? It's 4. It's a positive 4, so we can put that plus. What is 6x minus 3x, or just 6 minus 3? It would be a positive 3x. I could put the plus in front, or I can just leave it. So my final answer is 3x plus 4. Done. And that was using the subtraction method. All right, your final, you see my notes here, stars all over the place. I don't think I could add any more signs anywhere. Like, look at all those negative signs. Ew. But they're kind of fun. Now, again, before I write anything down, I want you to decide which method you think would be the easiest to use. Are we going to use the subtraction method like we just did? Or do you think it would be better to distribute the sign? I'm going to distribute the sign. Because of all the negatives that I see here, I'm going to distribute this sign in hopes that I can maybe get rid of a few of them. All right? So when I give that out, this turns into a positive 5x, right? We switch the sign, and a positive 2, because we're going to switch those signs. All right, so let's see. We've got negative 4x minus 7, and then I've got 5x plus 2. I'm not putting a subtraction sign because I already took care of that. And I'm not putting parentheses because those things are going to function by themselves. Okay, up here we kept the parentheses because I had not given it out and I needed to show that. Here, I already gave them out. See the difference? Okay, now we're going to combine these. We think back to our integer rules with piles of chips. So I've got negative 7 and positive 2. That's a few reds and a few blacks. They're different. So we're going to subtract. 7 minus 2, I got to switch hands here, sorry. 7 minus 2 is 5. The 7 pile was bigger, so we keep that negative sign. And then I've got negative 4x and positive 5x. Again, some reds and some blacks. They're different. So I'll subtract. 5x minus 4x is 1x. I'll put the 1 for just a moment. The 5 pile was bigger. It was positive. So it's a positive 1. My final answer is going to be x minus 5. All of that boils down to x minus 5. These aren't hard. I said this in the beginning. I'm literally adding and subtracting. What gets tricky is that pesky negative sign. Don't be afraid to write these in your notebook. It is nearly impossible to hold these in your head when you're first learning them. Write them down, draw all over them, pull out the colored pens and pencils, whatever it takes. We're going to do some practice today. We're going to do some more practice tomorrow, and then we'll start putting all of these skills together.